Hello everyone. Today I've got 3 more fantastic indie horror books I think you should read. As you know, I love indie horror, and every time I read a few, I can't wait to make a video like this to let you guys know what's going on in that world and little books that may have slipped under your radar. All 3 of these are great, and of course they're ones I highly recommend to you. And we even have an anthology in there with a very unique theme, and we're going to talk about all that. But I want to remind you that I have books for sale, and if you want to read any of the books you see on your screen, there is a link in the description. All right, let's get started. All right, so the first book I want to talk about today is called Conversations with Dead Serial Killers by Ashley Lister. This is a book, obviously, about serial killers. It's right there in the title, but it's about much more than that. The main characters of this book are 2 brothers, and they're both antagonists in the story. Neither of them have a moral compass. The older brother, Derek, he's a fake psychic, and he has no qualms whatsoever about taking money from grieving widows and mothers and fathers in order to promote his fake psychic mediumship abilities. And he's on the cusp of maybe having his own reality TV show, and so he's also very, very greedy. And he just doesn't care about the people he's scamming. His younger brother, Clive, makes some money by writing books about serial killers, true crime books. He obsesses over these serial killers. He studies them. He obsesses over them to the point where they are his heroes. He takes it to the point where he doesn't see their acts as disgusting or the works of psychopaths, but as something to be paid tribute to, something to be worshipped almost, to the point where he starts recreating some of the most horrific crimes of these famous serial killers. And he is somebody who is known to the police as the copycat killer because of this, but he has not ever been caught, because he studies all this stuff and he knows how not to get caught. So separately, these 2 brothers have no moral compass, but together things can go from bad to worse. Well, one day Derek, after one of his readings, sees his first ever ghost. It's a ghost of a girl, and she winds up being the protagonist in the story, which is a really cool twist. Normally the ghosts are the spooky ones, you know, the ones you got to watch out for. But in this tale, she is the one that has the moral compass that's trying to point him in the right direction. And she will not leave Derek alone. She's constantly talking to him. They have conversations. I really love that aspect of the book when they were communicating like that. And she starts turning his dreams into nightmares so he can't get any sleep, because she wants him to do some things, and until she gets her way, she is not going to leave him alone. And Derek thinks he just might be losing his mind. This might all be an hallucination, although we know it's not. So do either of them change their ways? Will Clive get caught for his crimes? Will Derek finally have a change of heart? You're going to have to read to find out. But one interesting thing about this book is that you can tell the author did a lot of research on real life serial killers. There's a lot of detail in there about them and some of their crimes, and that gives it, I mean, you've heard of these guys if you've ever, if you're into true crime at all. And that gives this book a sense of reality, it's kind of grounded in that reality, told in this horrific fashion, and that gave it an extra creepy vibe, I thought. It was very chilling, even to this day, to read about these crimes, even though you've heard of them before. But for me, whenever I hear about them, it still just freaks me out and creeps me out a lot. And that was a part of the book that really had the most effect on me, So yeah, this is definitely a great book. I highly, highly recommend it, and you can pick up your copy along with these other 2 at a link in the description. It'll take you right to Amazon. And next we have Sea Devil by Scott Donnelly. He wrote a book a while ago called The Creepy Project, which was a slasher novella, a good, fun, old-fashioned slasher novella. One of my favorite slasher books I read. And He's doing the same thing here with sea monsters. This is part of the Monsters and Mayhem collection. And this sea monster is scary. It makes Jaws look like a teddy bear, man. It's huge, it's big, it's got big sharp teeth, and it has a taste for human flesh. And it's set in a community, in a beach community during the springtime. You got 5 college kids coming there for sun and surf and alcohol and sex and everything, you know. And they decide to take a boat out one day, but things are going to go very much awry. And they're going to find themselves on what seems to be an abandoned vessel out in the sea there. And yeah, they're going to be trapped. And this monster, once it gets their scent, this sea monster is not going to stop until it gets its way. And this book is just one of those, again, one of those that's just a good old fun, and it does have a slashery vibe. It's just in this case, the slasher is a sea monster. But it's very bloody, very gruesome, well-told story. It's just things are going to get out of control very quickly. And once again, I think he's nailed it, knocked it out of the park. Good old monster story. And you definitely want to read this. It is a novella, so it's not going to take you that long to read, but you'll remember it long after you're finished. Trust me on that. And again, there is a link in the description where you can purchase your copy. Finally, we have our anthology. This one is called No Trouble at All. And the theme of this anthology is politeness. I'd never thought that there would be a horror anthology based around the theme of being polite. And I love this anthology because some of these characters pretend to be polite, but they are anything but. Some of these characters are polite to a fault, and that gets them in some seriously horrifying situations. But all of these stories deal with that issue in one way or the other. And what I really like about this anthology, like I do in most anthologies, is that even though it has a central theme, these stories are so vastly different that you'll find something to love. I mean, you got some weird horror in there, you got some speculative horror in there, you got some body horror in there, you got all different kinds of horror wrapped up in this anthology with that theme of politeness running through it. But these stories are excellently told and written. You got one in there about a young teenage girl who's always been told to smile and be pretty, you know, and she starts growing teeth in back of her human teeth, and these teeth are sharp and they have a mind of their own, and it seems like they are thirsty for blood. You have another one about a man and a woman. Ever since they were kids, whenever they would do something nice for each other, something affectionate toward each other, they would each retaliate to each other in violence. Like if they held hands, they would slap each other. If they decided to kiss, they would punch each other in the face, not holding anything back. And it's a very twisted relationship as punishment for their affection for each other, and things get ever increasingly more violent, and we are going to read about the aftermath of that. I really love that story. And then there's another one about in a world where everybody has a doppelganger, but you're going to meet your doppelganger one day, and when you do, you have to fight to the death. Because not you and your doppelganger can exist in this world at the same time, or else, because of that time, space, veil or whatever, the world could end if both of you are living in the same time, at the same time, if you know what I mean. But what happens if somebody meets their doppelganger and they both decide, I don't want to do this, I don't want to fight, I don't want to kill anybody? Well, you're going to read about it in this story, and that one was just fantastic. Really creepy vibe, because in this world, of course, those doppelgangers are real. They learn about them in school, and everybody's expecting it one day to meet their doppelganger. Sometimes the doppelganger wins, sometimes the human wins, the original human. But yeah, you're just going to have to read about it. It was a great story. So you got all these different kinds of stories and variations of different themes in here, with that central theme of politeness running through them all. This is a fantastic anthology. I absolutely loved it and highly recommend it. And as always, I want to say thank you for taking some of your time and spending it here with me. And until we meet again, keep reading spooky, my friends.